Dog tags, dog, this is awesome. It's Optimus Prime and your quadrant is talking to you, got that? I was in a mind when I crafted this. The dungeon master's wrath with a dash of sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist the tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how 4 guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. You're listening to episode number 137. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this evening. After I get done patting myself on the back in the pre-show, that you guys won't hear if you're out in MP3 land, or even on Twitch land of having great audio and all that, I fucked it up.
You really did.
I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Worse than Wrecker has ever fucked it.
I don't know about that.
I know.
No, I do. I'm speaking with authority on the matter.
So, Sean, what happened to your beautiful hair?
I shaved it all off when I got home today because I needed something new, and I was bored. And I shaved my face. And if I'm going to shave my face, I'm going to shave my head. So
I was waiting for Dom.
Yep,
I was waiting for Dom.
We're all giving each other just the shifty eye.
Like, you shaved your face? Because
Who's gonna say it?
I don't think you really tried.
No, it's all right.
It's kind of like his head. He didn't really try.
No, I just ran the thing over and
he grabbed the Flowbee and went.
Hair fell off. It's shorter. I feel a pound lighter. You know.
All right. So
Well, Chi-Chi, the hair looks good, but you should have left the beard.
that's where I was going with this.
Yeah.
All night tonight is Chi-Chi.
Oh, the Chi-Chi Jaden show.
Oh my god. You should just change your summoner to that.
It just needs the Chi-Chi Jaden show.
I will
Thank all
pay
my friends
money.
in Philadelphia
I will
for
pay
my nickname.
money for you to change that.
Chi-Chi JJ.
Chi-Chi JJ. So, guys, I hope you guys are ready for the LCS podcast, which will be live this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sorry. And it goes live at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, just after the LCS on Sundays. They'll talk, I mean, we've been talking about it for weeks now. They'll talk about the LCS and OGN and Masters and, you know, all the fancy stuff that goes on with pro players. And for any of those of you that have wrote in and asked about the microphones and everything, we're working on getting those microphone fixed. They have good ones. It's just the first episode, there's going to be a lot of technical glitches and difficulties and whatnot, and we are working through those kind of like we worked through tonight with our intro. But you see, I pick myself up and I dust myself off and I make it work. Unlike to Claude, who asked the prophet today.
You asked the prophet first, and then I tried to change its answer, and it wouldn't. That bastard.
What is it? Ask the Fossil.
Yeah, that thing was
AskTheFossil.com.
Thing was not.
Yeah, the Helix fossil. You asked it something about me not telling any more puns, and it's like, sure,
Claude tell
no
more
more.
puns.
So I tried to use trickery with wordplay to get it to get the right answer for me, and nope, it stuck to its guns. So I give up. I'm a Helix heretic now. I don't follow that prophet anymore.
You're a follower of the dome.
He's a follower of
Yep.
Drowsy, the next prophet. For those of you who don't know, Twitch plays Pokemon is what we're talking about, and we're not going to get into that because we are not a Pokemon podcast. Don't forget, guys, the store.
We could be.
We
No,
could be.
we could be.
Do we want to be a Pokemon podcast? We could switch tonight.
I know nothing about Pokemon or whatever.
Pokemon.
Don't do that. Don't be
I don't
like that.
I kept yelling at him last night during the stream. Quit being my dad.
It's like a Jamaican playing Nidalee. She's Pokemon. You know, I don't know.
Shut the
That's all I
fuck
think.
up.
If I didn't think it would destroy all of my electrical equipment, I would have spat my beer all over you.
All over the camera.
This is why we
Everything.
don't sit at a bar, because I think once a week, Declan would
We'd
have
be
a
like
beer.
throwing things at him.
Just shut the fuck up!
We'd
Yeah, one
have
of these times
popcorn.
just
We'd have
say
bar
something.
popcorn and be all up in his face.
Pretzels.
Tomatoes.
Do they have tomatoes at bars? Because that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
I don't know. You should bring some.
Bar pickles.
Well, if I'm with you at a bar, I'm bringing tomatoes. I'm just letting you know. And a shepherd's cane.
Yeah, I used to bring sour cream to a bar because they had taco night, and sour cream, those one tiny little things would cost like an extra $2. So I'd bring my own sour cream, have it in my inside coat
So
pocket.
you were that guy, huh?
Yep.
That's funny as hell. All right, guys. As I was saying, don't forget about the store. There are Trinity Force Podcast t-shirts. The LCS t-shirts will be available within, I'm going to give you 3 weeks. I hope 2, but I'll tell you 3. OzLOL will be up in about 2. You guys will be able to order those t-shirts. Of course, that is store.trinityforcepodcast.com. You guys are directly helping the podcast by purchasing those t-shirts.
You got there.
I usually do that. I usually stumble over a couple words in the intro. Don't forget, guys, the donate button is out there. Now that we have 3 podcasts, we are looking for donations once again to help fund the staff with better microphones and live webcams and whatnot. So if you'd like to donate, you can. There's a PayPal link on trinityforcepodcast.com. Just let us know, and we'll start reading your names off as we get the donations. I want to do that in the live stream, like everyone else does, and with subscribers and whatnot. So that is out there. But the podcast is still going to come out 4 times a week. The schedule, so any of you listening know, we go live Sunday, Monday, and Wednesdays, and we release podcasts Tuesday through Fridays. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you guys will have 4 hours of some kind of Trinity Force a week, including the Ozolo podcast, which goes live Thursdays. I feel like I'm treating them as like a redheaded stepchild because I hardly talk about them like I talk about LCS, but I'm very proud of what those guys are doing over there for the Oceanic scene.
Now, you talked about them like all the time leading up to the LCS podcast, but now they're the first child, all right? They're not the newborn.
I'm so proud of my newborn baby. I'm just gonna cuddle it and hug it. And you guys go and play in the mud. I gotta take care of it.
I'm a firstborn. I know what it's like. Parents just like, you're the train wreck kid. They don't know what they're doing with you, and as soon as they can forget about you, they do forget about you.
Did that happen to you, Dom?
No.
Are you talking from experience?
No. What?
Get on the couch. I'll get my notebook and pen. Tell me about it,
Lay
Dom.
your head back and just start talking, buddy.
No, my parents are very
Force
good.
podcast.
I really have no complaints about my parents.
Your parents are not listening.
They're listening
It's okay.
right now.
I know they're not listening. My brothers
With the
aren't
hickory
listening.
switch.
I can say we have a, I don't know. My brothers and I have like a pretty like unspoken bond or whatever, like where we won't say anything about each other behind their back that we wouldn't say to their face, and we say a lot of terrible things to each other to their face. Like my brother was overweight for a while, and my younger brother and I let him know it. It was pretty great.
So you're like every other sibling in existence.
I don't know. No, there are a lot of siblings like who won't speak ill to their face and everything, but then they talk shit behind their back like, "Oh man, she's a
So
bitch."
what you're
She's
saying,
doing so
Dom,
much
is
for-"
you're fat cyst.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I'm not okay with that.
You're not okay with that.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna pigeonhole me like that.
All right.
And
So
I want to know one thing.
No.
Best yet is on
Not
time.
answer.
Kinda.
the best yet is on time. Wait a
know.
minute, my
It's
face
in
with
the
best yet is
moderating.
on
I can
time.
see it.
Oh my god, I
He
know.
sure is. Good job, Josh.
I don't know if he heard the other podcast, but best yet is a jerk. That guy. All right, let me take a quick swig here, and we'll move on with the podcast. So,
One down.
I need to go get another one at some point, so I hope somebody can carry this. Chira, this is on your back, just like tonight at Rank 5s. It's going to be on your back to carry this podcast.
You can't put it all on me. What is this? I didn't sign up for this.
Here's a question. So do we
Those
want to
broad shoulders? You can carry us.
do we want to jump right to power spikes, or do we want to talk about some of the weirder champs that got picked last week in LCS?
That's what I was going to ask you guys. But
It's open.
we can do like kind of the oddball picks. Why not?
There are 3 that really stand out to me out of all the oddball picks. So last week we did see Anivia, Lissandra, Fizz, Skarner, Volibear, Jackson, Vigar get some play. And most of those have not seen a lot of play in the LCS at this point and everything. Skarner, Volibear, and Vigar are the ones that stand out to me. Now, Gambit did lose with Skarner. They were up against Jungle Pantheon, and I don't even remember what SK Gaming ran otherwise. Snoopy did win with Volibear in one game and then lost the second game. And Dignitas.
But that second game was pretty. I mean, that second game was a very good game to watch. I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't the Volibear pick. In fact, I like of all of these, Volibear is the one I'm definitely most on board with. From the jungle for sure. And then Dignitas did not succeed too heavily with Vigar. I liked where they were coming from. They just didn't execute the strategy well. They Cloud9 had a lot of kind of quick engage opponents like Kha'Zix, specifically in mid lane, and so part of the idea was that using, I believe it's Event Horizon,
Yep.
to Claude.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep,
it
Event
was
Horizon
the idea
TP,
was using Event Horizon so that you can engage on Vigar, but now you are stuck in the stun of Vigars and everything, and Vigar's team is going to go on you. But Cloud9 just kind of picked that strategy apart and made sure to avoid big team fights against Vigar.
Right.
Um,
But Vigar was a threat through that game, and he did do his job in some situations. There was one point where High had jumped in as Kha'Zix, and everybody thought that Vagar had got blown up, but Vagar blew up High in mid-flight and flashed out, and that's what made it look like that Vagar had been obliterated.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was
Scar
like
was doing his job.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was the Skarner pick. It was
Vagar pick. You said
You said Skarner.
Oh,
No,
okay. No, I
said
thought I
Vigar.
said it doesn't matter.
No,
Anyway.
you said Skarner was doing his job, so I thought we were quick switching.
He said
again.
Skara.
Oh,
Skara.
Skara.
Oh,
Yeah.
Skara. Oh, my bad.
We're here for you, Dom.
Thanks,
got your
thanks,
back.
guys.
I'm glad I have Sean here because I was like, what? I didn't say.
No, I'm
I
here
misheard. No, you're right. I misheard.
waiting for my moment to pounce when people fuck up.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Glad you
Well
have my
done.
back.
Yep.
Like you, Dom, I am most excited about that Volibear pick. I have silently, like I haven't said it to any of you guys, so that's something different when I normally say I've been talking about it. I silently think that the Volibear pick is something to bring back, and more people should start playing him. Not to the
Bullshit.
degree
You yell at me for picking Volibear.
You pick Volibear in the top lane. Get out of here.
That's perfect.
Nah,
It's beautiful.
Okay, so DeClaude, since we never really talked in season 2, I was
No.
big behind the Volibear top lane train. Like Chira, I think I was playing with Chira then, wasn't I?
Yep.
I-
That was right around when Volibear
Still
came
works.
out.
I mean, yeah.
Still works. Play defensively, get them by your turret, and then toss them when they least expect it. Slow them with a roar. They get out after a couple turret hits, and then you munch them, and they're dead.
Yeah.
And that was when you could red pot cheese too and get
Right.
a little bit of bonus out of your passive as well.
Yeah.
But
now it still works.
Even if Volibear works in the top lane, he's not going to ever be picked up. I mean, I won't say ever. He most likely will not be picked in the top lane. That's fine, DeClaude. You do crazy things. We don't care. I think he should be. I like that if Volibear gets picked on the jungle. And Sean and I talked about this today. So, Sean, I'm going to use some of your points when I go
Gotcha.
through this. But the thing with Volibear, and this was Sean's point, was that he needs one kill early to start that snowball. And Volibear is, and that's why he was picked in like season 3. He was pretty big snowball. Once he gets that big kill, he gets that kill, he can get that first item. Let's say Ruby Crystal into Ember or whatever the hell, the Kindle Gem. And, gives 10% cooldown reduction, gives health. Extra health means more life off his passive.
And more damage from his bite.
And more, there you go. Because his health is, bite does percentage of life damage.
It's percentage of his
No.
health and bonus damage.
Okay.
No, percentage of missing health on the enemy.
But the modifier is his current life, right?
Yeah, the bonus is his total. It's his max health and bonus damage. Hold on.
Again, Volibear still gets countered by Trundle.
It's like you can use it kind of like an execute.
Yeah, you can use an execute. That's how most people use it. And they save it after
They try to
done the
save
three
it.
stacks.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the best, but he's great at dueling early. And with counter jungling becoming more prevalent, as we've seen in the LCS and up in the higher ranks of solo queue, Volibear duels really well or lives long enough to allow your laners to respond because of his passive.
I mean, I think that
Oh,
was
yeah.
the part of the logic behind the Skarner pick as well, because he's such a good early duel. Like, you don't want to run into Skarner in your jungle or his jungle. Like, that's the last guy you want to run into. But the LCS was on the patch before the Skarner rework, so
Yeah, it was a 4.1 patch.
yeah. So some of the Skarner issues like that existed then were still in play.
And with Volibear's Frenzy, his W does do a bonus modifier based on his max health and then increases damage by 1% for every 1% they're missing. So it's an execute and bonus damage off his max health.
Right.
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
why-
So
that's
you
why
build health, and it hurts.
He does
more.
more damage. He's
And
one of
the
the
lower health they are, the more damage
he's
it does.
one
so
of the
it's just amazing.
fewer tanks in the game that I really like for the fact that the bigger they get, like the more tanky he gets and the more health he builds, the more he's going to kill you, which is really fun for me, and it makes him like a super snowbally tank.
Well, he's like you said, he's fun because you can build health on him, and a lot of the health items have other modifiers to them.
Right.
Like when you're building Kindle Gem, you get 10% cooldown reduction, which means
Right.
more Qs,
CDR.
more E's, and more W's,
And
more
the Spirit
R's.
Visage, you get health, you get magic resist, and it works great with your passive. 'cause
passive.
You build
it's
Sunfire
awesome.
Cape and you get Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, you get health, damage, and armor. I mean, that's
Yeah,
why
well, I mean everybody knows, but it's like that's an item he's totally gonna like zero in on.
Yeah.
and
I love playing-
Warmogs too, because
I've
he's gonna
fallen
regain
behind.
his life.
I've fallen behind horribly in lane as Volibear and just go, okay, I'm just going to build tanky here on out, and then all of a sudden I'm an awesome presence,
Hell,
and I can initiate fights and tank.
back before they even changed Warmogs up, when it was still stacking, you'd get like a Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage, and then you just stack Warmogs. And
When it was
when you could just stack like 2 of them
Yep.
and get ever increasing
Well,
stacks
that's
on
like
it.
that was season 2, not even beginning of season 3, wasn't
I used
it?
to do that.
That was season 2, beginning of season 3.
Well, beginning of season 3, everybody rushed Warmogs, and that's what made
Right.
Shyvana was super powerful then for that very beginning, and so was Volibear, and anybody who could just
Mundo.
stack life.
I would get 4 Warmogs, 1 Force of Nature, and an Atmas on Mundo.
Oh yeah, and you couldn't kill him.
Yeah.
But while we're talking about Volibear here, I'm not advocating that everybody goes out and starts playing Volibear and using him as their primary jungler. You know, I don't want people to be confused, because that's how we were with like Sejuani back in the day. If you guys listen to some of the older episodes, we were pretty much advocating Sejuani and Mumu. I'm just saying he's a good pick when the others are banned, because a lot of times Vi, Elise, and Lee Sin are either banned or picked, and Volibear does pretty well against a Vi, or at least stays alive in the jungle long enough early that, again, teammates can come and help. He's not going to carry like a Vi is, but
Right, he's
gonna
not.
be
He
there.
doesn't have the instant death
Right.
button that Vi has built in, but he's got similar ideas going
He
on.
can initiate, he can tank, and he can peel. He can do good AoE damage with his ult running.
And he's a
He can
wall.
execute. So he's a good all-around package. I like the peel.
Right.
That's one of the best things about him.
And
Someone
another
jumping in on
great
my
thing,
ADC and throw him away.
you don't even need to build damage on him, because the passive damage from his ult does such a significant amount of damage in team fights that he's great damage-wise throughout the entire course of the game.
It was funny because we had a question a while ago. Do you want to build Ionic Spark on Volibear? And it was, why make him do
Exactly what he does.
why make him do something exactly what he does? Why make him better at what he already is good at?
Because more lightning bolts are cool, bro.
Well, that's why I
It's
that's
just-
why I
well,
built Ionic Spark before.
And
It's
the,
for
the
wave-
funny part
it's
is
for wave
I
player. Like your side
I like Wit's End on him a lot, but I'm also like irrationally in love with that item.
We know.
That is a good item. I like it on Warwick. That's,
Oh, everybody! You should always build.
Everybody
on
likes him
Warwick.
more.
You should.
But,
Go,
like,
you should. Yeah.
so-
Go ahead.
So if you figure that, I mean, like it's just the passive on it to me seems incredibly gold efficient for champions that are dealing a lot of auto attack, like most of their
Right.
damage, or they're doing a lot of auto attacks. And Volibear certainly falls into that category between his attack speed, steroid built into his kit, and then his lightning lightning ultimate.
Right.
Yep.
If you figure that's like a BF sword of damage, like from that passive.
Well, and you're gaining magic resist and removing it from the.
Yeah, and that
Right.
all that stuff also comes into play besides that. But I mean, that's like a BF sword of extra damage on every attack. That's a huge deal that kind of gets ignored. I mean, that's almost 1,500 gold. That's almost 1,500 gold in damage.
We
that
had
you are
talked
adding
about
to-
Wit's End, and I mean, I am just as hard for that item as you are, but the problem for me and the reason it stops me from building it is because of the build path. And we go back to a conversation we had a number of episodes ago where if the build paths aren't right, it's hard to build that item. It's like Executioner's Calling or...
No, I agree. Like it's
But
it's
you get
it's a shitty with the recurve bow in there. It's a shitty first item. So
Right.
yeah, it's a tough
Yeah,
item
the best-
to really quickly get.
best you could do is grab that null mantle for some MR, use that,
Yep.
and then save up enough to just buy it outright after that point. So
Right. So, other than that, are there any other champions we need to talk about that came out that were, odd? I guess the Anivia versus
I didn't
Kale.
see the Vagar game. Was he played well? What happened with him?
Well, we had just talked about that earlier.
He
in
just
this
touched
cast.
it a little bit, but
That's pretty much all you got to
Didn't really
do.
get the
It was played well.
Yeah,
He
but-
got some early kills thanks to jungle assist, but
I
the
really-
team fights and
really-
stuff just went out of control.
Really, it just came down to Cloud9 outplayed Dignitas. They kind of
so
read
it doesn't matter
Dignitas was going to-
what champ he would have picked. It was just the way the rest of the team played.
They had a strategy. Cloud9 read through the strategy and were able to play around it. So,
Well,
and then
Dignitas was
it
looking
didn't
good
help.
early. I mean,
It didn't help that Dignitas did the same thing they did against TSM and got caught at Baron, and a bunch of them died. Like, got picked off one by one. They kept wandering too close to the brush, and then Cloud9 just ate
And
them.
they did that just before that fight in the jungle. I remember there was a
Yeah.
jungle fight with Vagar,
I mean, it
and
was-
they kept getting picked up. Dignitas was just out of position and not playing properly.
Okay.
It wasn't the Vygar pick itself that won or lost the game.
Right. Okay.
I feel-
I'm just excited to see Vigar. I like clean. I like seeing
I feel
him
it's the same
play.
way when we saw that Mordekaiser pick in the EU. It wasn't the Mordekaiser pick that won, they won the game. It
Right.
wasn't Mordekaiser pick that won the game for them. It was the It was the shock of a new champion plus the way the team played it, having that Mordekaiser there. I think they had Pantheon with it as well, so that allowed ganks. I don't remember. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I don't know. Overpower does a bunch of crazy shit. He's like, if you guys aren't watching Rokats games, you need to watch them because they are way fun. That guy's way exciting to watch. The whole team is.
Well, since we're talking about
Vander doesn't know how to miss a hook.
Since we're talking about the LCS, let's talk about Lucian. I have been touting this week that we're going to talk about Lucian and the state of Lucian in this game. So I want to say that most people feel that Lucian's still a powerful pick, but looking at him and looking at his win rate in the LCS, which I believe is just about 50%.
It's if you combine North America and Europe, it's a 40% win rate.
Okay, so it's gone down since week 5 or week 4. Week 4 was 50%, correct?
No, it's gone up since week 4. The more people won with him this week than they did than lost.
Why? Because I'm asking because the document says 18% pick rate, 50% win rate.
That's his solo queue win rates.
Oh, okay.
That's his solo queue rates. I'm sorry.
Got it.
I should have clarified that. It made sense to me. In Europe, he has a 45% win rate, so that really is just shy of the 50% mark. In North America, he's sitting at 35%, and that's mostly carried by Wild Turtle. He's the only guy who has won more than once with him. Double Lift is the only guy who hasn't played him at all. Everybody else, every other person has lost with him.
And Double Lift's the guy who brought Sivir to NA. Really, I mean, he may have been picked once before then, but Double Lift
Wild Turtle played him the first week.
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah,
Double Lift's the reason playing it.
Yeah, that's why she's in vogue right now.
Oh, sorry, I was reading a Twitter or a comment. Somebody had given me hearts in the Twitch chat. Oh, I love you too, Mod Brat. Anyway,
in Australian.
Yes. But with Lucian, okay, so I think when people are playing Lucian, they don't realize that he's an AD caster. We've talked about this in the past between AD carry and AD caster. AD casters are reliant on their spells, and AD carries are reliant on their auto attacks. That's the best way to differentiate them. When Lucian uses a spell, he gets 2 auto attacks. Everybody knows that. So the best way to play him is harass, auto attack, harass, double auto attack. And when you look at the way he plays, he's not as big of a lane bully as he used to be before he got the Q nerf. Like that Q nerf, that damage in the range really hurt him in lane, especially the damage.
Part of the Q nerf was really hurt by the Season 4 mastery changes. He lost a lot of armor penetration built in, like, that was otherwise in his kit because of the mastery changes. It was something like, I think it's only 2 flat armor penetration, but then also the 6%. And for a guy who's, very
he gets 6%
spell heavy.
now.
Yeah.
No, but it was like 8%.
Oh.
No, he lost. There was a net loss in
right. Yeah,
in
there
armor
was.
pen. So for no, he doesn't hit 6%. There's no more.
Yes, in the end, it's 6% magic and armor pen.
It's the one
20.
talent.
I thought that
for
was 6
6%.
flat. Then
it's percent.
Okay, whatever it was.
There
was definitely a net loss.
Before
It would be a net loss of 4%.
Before there was 80 per level that went into percentage, a flat percentage, which was 10% or 8%.
It used to be
8 or 10%, right?
Yeah.
9 points was 8 or 10% in season 3, and and it was because you gained flat or you gained not flat. You gained scaling AP per level or scaling AD per level, and then it went into that mastery.
Right.
Either or. Irregardless of what he
flat,
lost.
So the flat's gone.
There was no flat. There was never. It was AD scaling per level.
No, there was flat in the
old masteries.
In the old masteries, there was flat. No, there was
6%.
percent and flat.
Oh right. Okay.
So
he lost
6.
the flat
I'm
now,
sorry.
but only has the percent.
6 flat.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have had this ready before this all started.
Well, I didn't think we were going to go in there. No, it was 6 flat. Yeah. I've got both masteries up in front of me now. So he lost 2% from the percentage reduction, and then he lost 6 flat armor.
Okay.
And the loss of 6 flat is what was huge.
Right.
That makes a huge difference in the early game.
But even with that reduction or loss, he still did great in 4.0. Or 3. I guess it would have been. I guess it would have been 4.0 because they went from like 3.8 to 4.1.
They went to 4.1.
Oh, did they? Is that where they went?
Yeah.
4.1 was the one they nerfed Lucian in. Then
maybe I don't know.
There was definitely a patch
it was like
3.
It was like 3.14 where they introduced the season 4 masteries.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
High patch. Yeah.
3.14.
Yeah, 3.14. There. I'm just asking because there was a patch before Season 4, or there was a patch after Season 4 had started where he still had that extra range and extra damage on Q, and he had a higher win percentage because of that. It wasn't necessarily all. I mean, he took a big hit with the Season 3 to Season 4 masteries, but he wasn't played heavily until the very tail end of Season 3 and the start of Season 4.
I can look up when he was nerfed. I can give you the exact numbers on that. I can't give you his rates. He's sitting at 50%, so it's not like they've nerfed him into oblivion or anything.
I think
I
we're
still think he's
spending too
strong.
much. I think we're spending too much time on
3.15 is when he got nerfed.
Okay. So yeah, 3.14. He had that. Anyway, being 80 caster, we spent way too much time discussing this stuff. Being an 80 caster, he is like he's like Draven, where Draven is a big lane bully, and he's only going to be powerful if he gets ahead. And the problem that I have with Lucian is with that reduced damage. Without mana, Lucian is useless. Unlike like Jinx Jinx doesn't really go through eat mana like Lucian does, or Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Caitlyn doesn't eat mana,
Right.
And Draven doesn't eat mana. I mean, if you want a giant lane bully right now, you need to work on your Draven mechanics and bring him out over Lucian. I understand that Lucian's safe, but like the only time that I can see really picking this guy is if you're going to get somebody that has a slow, because he can get out of it with his E.
Or if you have a Soraka support.
My thinking is really
Right, keep your
not
mana
that.
Yep.
My thinking is that you pick Lucian if your intent is to really be a bully and win the game as quickly as you can. If you're expecting the game, like if you are looking at opposing team comps and your team comp and you're expecting the game is going to go on for a long time, then you should maybe consider a marksman other than Lucian, because he simply falls off faster and faster. And that's what I think the issue is with Lucian in the LCS, because kills are so much harder. Like, LCS games tend to be pretty low on kills. Every now and then you run into a bloodbath, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not getting the type of snowball rolling on champions. And while they make every kill count for a lot more, at a certain point, attack damage is still attack damage, and you can't, like, you need a certain amount of gold to get the appropriate amount of attack damage, and Lucian's not getting that in the way that needs to be successful.
Well,
by the
and
end
with
game.
Lucian, he's building Trinity for second. Everybody goes
Right.
Bloodthirster first, into Berserker Greaves, into or Sheen somewhere in there, into Trinity Force. And Trinity Force obviously costs more than a Zeal or an Avarice Blade, right? And that's what you get on your normal 80 carries is Bloodthirster, Berserker Greaves, Avarice Blade, or not Avarice Blade. I meant what's the one that shoots lightning? Zap.
Static shift.
Thank you, Static Shiv, which builds out
Builds
Avarice
out of average split, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yep.
it absolutely does. And when you're looking at the gold the gold difference between these champions and what you have to get early kills or lots of early dragons on Lucian to make up for that. Well, but why wouldn't you bring somebody else in there to be a lane bully like a Draven? Why wouldn't, especially at the pro level, why wouldn't you? You have the mechanics. You're the best players in the world. If you want, there's a on Reddit today there was a video of a Draven 3v1ing the enemy team because how powerful it was. Lucian couldn't do that because he's waiting on cooldowns.
No, Lucian will never do that. I mean, but the flip side is if you're duo queuing with somebody and you and your support partner just know how to execute the strategy you want to go for, and you can just really punish the opponent because of your picks or because of their picks or whatever reason, I mean, that makes Lucian a good pick. I don't think he is underpowered. I don't think he's a bad champion. I think he's in the spot that he needs to be at right now. I think he's getting overpicked in LCS play, but I think he's in a fine spot as far as solo queue goes. You just need to know what you want to do with him.
I still have a problem with the culling, though. We harped on the culling when he was first released. I still have a problem with the culling. I mean, Dom even said today, apparently if you get a kill with the culling, E resets.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
He's part of the... I did a review on Lucian, and I completely forgot that part of him just because, you so infrequently get or see kills from that ability. People use it for wave clear, or they will start a fight with it because they know it's really just poking at people and they want that extra auto attack.
I mean, it's great when you're running away from somebody and you can still do damage into them, but you aren't doing a whole lot of damage. You're maybe taking 2 or 3 bars off somebody, depending on their total life. And I still have a problem with culling. With an ultimate, it's very underwhelming.
For how cool it looks and for it's a cool looking ability. It's it sounds really neat. It's a really underwhelming ultimate.
It fizzles.
And I don't know, because he has mobility during it and he's pretty much the only champion that does during his ult, I don't know what kind of power trade-offs they could make to make that ability itself feel more impactful.
I have with a tank champion tried to run into Lucian's face and he just panic cullinged me and it took me to half health as a beefy tank and I had to back off because for fear of getting killed.
But
all
saying
of it
what,
was
what
point
items
blank
did you
in my
have,
face.
What items did the Lucian have? You know, we have to take all that into
Well,
consideration.
if all of it hits you,
it's relative.
going to do damage. But the chances that you're going to hit somebody with
every
all of it
single
are
bullet.
rare.
Fair
And
enough.
I've seen in the LCS, I've seen a lot of maybe finishing kills over a wall with it.
Yep.
You know, someone's getting away and they're doing the sidestepping and culling into a bush or over the wall, and it doesn't have much use. But then again, look at Ace in the Hole.
Yeah,
but Ace in the Hole still half chunks you when it's a targeted ability.
And when she has a lot of items, that shit will half health an
Right,
AD
but I
carrier.
mean,
and
you use
basically it comes down to the difference is that with Ace of the Hole, if somebody body blocks that and that's fine, but that person still takes a shitload of damage. You can trade off body blocking, and for that matter, the Lucian player can move around and ultimately end up
Spread out
changing
the
the
damage.
target. So the damage really gets spread. It's not like Misfortune's ult, where the only way to stop that damage is to stop her
out.
from channeling that ability.
Yep.
Well, or move. Yeah,
Right.
but
You know what? Maybe a way that they could change the culling is how it gains more bullets or more animation time, cast time, whatever the hell you want to call it. The more attack speed you have, I think it should gain a scaling AD based on attack speed rather than bullets, and it should shoot the same number of bullets. And that would make up for it. I think that would make up for it to an extent, or a trade off of half and half.
I think the real issue is that it's a very easy ability to block.
Right.
And this would probably take it well into the overpowered realm, but if its ability, if bullets kind of scaled with armor penetration to a point where if you hit a certain level, they actually start to pass through targets and could hit a subsequent target because of that. I mean, that would be incredibly complex to program.
That would be so cool, though.
Yeah, it would be cool. That would probably be overpowered. But
You mean if its penetration value takes it below 0 on the target, it would do the math and you see the bullet actually pass through the target?
well, but it's really difficult to get to the. But I mean, if the penetration value gets
Come on, Gradius, get on it. It'd be cool though.
below 30%, because you still need additional armor pen aside from masteries. I mean, you basically have to run armor pen runes to get there, but
Right.
it'd be something.
I do have to point out, I've had lots of people, even on Twitter, that I've said, oh, the culling never gets kills. Obviously, the culling can get kills. I've picked up a double kill with it. Wild Turtles had some great culling kills. Yes, it's great, but it's still pretty underwhelming unless you're fed.
Yeah, you get
Use
a
it
kill
to
with the
wave
calling,
clear.
and you're like, oh, hey, wow, that
Cooldown
happened.
isn't all that bad. Use it to clear minion waves real quick. That's where I
how
see
we
it
use
used
it.
the best. It's a good tool, like Zig's ult. Oh crap, they're pushing that turret. Huck it over there. Bam.
Here's the difference, though, is that Zig's ult's actually useful to team fight, unlike the culling.
Yeah, true. Or Baron Steel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're never going to Baron Steel with the culling. So talking about that and power spike, let's talk about power spikes a little bit then, because Lucian has a power spike at, we'll say level 4. Lucian has a nice power spike because he gets 2 ranks in ability, and there's a lot of champions out there that have power spikes, but I don't think enough players respect power spikes and understand what they are and how they work. Do you guys want to pick that up for a second? I had to.
Sure. I was actually going to say, I would probably say the majority of First Bloods go to people not respecting that level, that power spike from levels 1 to 4. And it's basically just that point where a champion with, at least in the early game, with little items gets a really big boost out of just to their abilities. I'm gonna.
I think Tarek's a really good example because he has the best 1-point wonder in a game. It's a stun that it's a guaranteed stun at level 1. No other champion really has
pretty
that with the same
decent
type of
range on
priority.
it too.
Yeah, it's a range stun at level 1. It's the best 1-point wonder in the game. You should be terrified of Tarek, at that very early level. Level 2, Tarek is less frightening because, hey, he's got the stun, but it's on a long cooldown, and you're in lane, and he either got a heal or an aura. Don't get me wrong, love Tarek, but
Right.
he's a way different champion by level 3 than he is at level 1.
Probably a really good example of this would be if you just want to talk about where a champion immediately sees a difference in their power of play, I would say is Jax at level 6 is
Yeah, I was going to mention
basically-
Jax as well.
yeah, Jax at level 6 is almost
He's
a
terrifying,
different
'cause-
champ from
Yeah,
Jax levels 1 through 5.
I've noticed that firsthand. I'm playing, I'm trading well, I'm beating him, I'm dueling him, and then all of a sudden he hits level 6, and I got to hightail it because I'm toast.
Right.
Power spiking is a difficult topic to talk about in a broad sense because in most cases it boils down to the specific champs that are being used. But that it sort of encourage. The idea is we want to really encourage people to start to think about their matchups and everything, because you should really you should think about what your opponents can do when they're at the same level as you, and that should inform some of your decision making. Like,
don't be surprised by that. Don't be surprised that Jax level 6 all of a sudden outduels you when you were outdueling him every level prior. Expect it.
Right.
yeah, or like
adjust your
Annie
play.
is frightening at level 6 versus Karma, who is really underwhelming at level 6 because she didn't get she didn't get any kind of spike from leveling up her ultimate. She gets a little bit more damage or utility or whatever else is going on in the rest of her abilities, which I know I just don't want to get into. But she does not get the same type of instant intimidation factor that is Tibber, the AoE Tibber stun.
Tibbas?
Tibbas.
Tibbas.
The Tibber stun.
My bad, Tibbas.
Yeah. Leona, frankly, Leona hits a power spike at level 2 because regardless of what she took with her first ability, the second one is going to be the follow-up to that. So Leona hits level 2 and somebody should die.
Basically, understanding power spikes is just understanding
Champions kit.
a lot of basically just broad knowledge of champions and just knowing when they're getting the most out of their abilities at what levels and around what times.
Why do you think solo lanes are a race to 6?
Right.
For the most part.
Duo lanes,
Yeah.
like in LCS, you don't see the duo lane helping if the jungler's starting red buff anymore because they are trying to make sure that they are either at level 2 at the same time or they're trying to get ahead of their opponent.
Right.
It's those early levels have become really, really important, and it's a direct result of power spikes.
And it's always been that way. I just think more people are aware of it at this point, how to use their level 2 properly, because there is a lot of, I remember when I was learning AD carry, one of the things that people said was one wave plus about, I think, 2 minions is what it is. It's a wave and 2 or 3 minions, 2 melee, 3 caster or something, get you level 2 in bottom lane. So getting that level 2 really quickly, all in is Leona, all in is Ezreal will hit a power spike at level 2 because he has Essence Flux and Mystic Shot. Same thing, Jinx hits all AD carries, just for the most part, besides maybe Caitlyn, hit a power spike at level 2.
Well, it's also what made Blue Side's ability to kill golems in previous seasons so powerful.
And that's why we saw a lot of lane swaps.
Right. You just kill the golems, you hit level 2 way before your opponents, and you just immediately have the advantage almost the entire rest of the time you're
That's
in
why they
lane.
made him spawn
Now,
Yep.
way later.
would you guys agree that power spiking kind of tends to flatten out pretty much across the game right around level 12?
I would say
Maybe
before
even earlier than that?
I would say
Level 8?
I'd
at
say
level
like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Because pretty much everybody has
level 9 feels right.
They
to
have
me.
kind of their relevant ability ranks, and then it's pretty
once
much
everybody
items.
is level 6, I think power spikes are pretty much done.
I can agree with that.
I don't
And
know.
then it's just a matter of
I think
items
there are a
and
few
outside
champions
DR.
who kind of still carry on into a couple.
Well,
levels.
it was like like the Jax example. He hits his power spike at level 6, and then he just progressively gets stronger from that point. But you don't see really that much out of him, at least kill potential wise early, unless you're.
So we're saying
Except
level
for
6 is
Nasus,
pretty much where it
who's just
flatlines.
sitting there farming,
Yeah.
and regardless of level, if he's farming up his Q,
Right.
his power spike's way up.
And again, it comes down to just knowing champions. You can't power spikes completely champion dependent.
Respect
And if
your
you-
opponent.
Yeah, respect your opponent. And if you understand these things and you kind of know when you're going to be stronger in a matchup or when they're going to be stronger in a matchup, like if you're playing Renekton into somebody who scales better late game, you need to basically get as much as you can out of your champion early, things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Really
he's a bad. I feel like he's a bad example because I'm kind of to the point where Renekton's always good.
Yeah. Well, anybody, and I'm sure there's lots of you out there thinking right now, what about is there a power spike when you get your level 2 or 3 of your ultimate? Sure, you're doing more damage, sure, but it's not that giant power spike of getting a new ability or gaining. The power spikes are larger early than they are later because of the more you get more damage early than you do later.
And that, I mean, that's the way it should be. That's
game is being, or the items that are on people.
Yeah, truthfully, that's good design. Yep. The power shifts from abilities themselves to items, and that's why you want to have attack damage based type champions in there because they're still able to contribute when their abilities are on cooldown. Whereas someone like, Brand, if his abilities are on cooldown, what the fuck is Brand gonna do?
Run around with his zombie arms waving. Ah!
I mean, his abilities are dealing a ton of damage, and then they're doing percent burns and all that type of shit, but. Yeah, Brand's doing fuck all while he's waiting for his shit to come back up.
Right. Well, somebody had just mentioned Triss. Triss does get a big power spike at her final rank of her ultimate.
Well, she kind of, and then she has just gradual power spikes because of her passive too.
Well, she's got a power spike at 6, shitty between like 6 and 11, and then better again. Like her mid game is still terrible.
She's definitely an exception.
She has a spike, a dip, and then another huge spike.
Right. I mean, and obviously there are going to be champions like that are going to do spike early, be shitty mid, and great late.
They're
I mean,
Kassadin Jax, not that strong, super early scale.
Hit 6 and suddenly you're just through the roof.
Exponentially after 6.
Right, like, I mean, Galio's relevant spike is at 6, and then other than that, he does, like, none of his curves matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, look at Kali.
Same thing as Gate.
Yeah, same exact thing. She hits 6, and all of a sudden you can't shake her, and you're dead.
Yeah, all of a sudden you go from not worried.
She's halfway across the lane. Bam, I'm dead.
What just happened?
Karthus. I mean, we're just talking ultimates now, though. These ultimates are game changing.
Right.
And they're before big items have come into play.
Alistar gets a spike at level 2 because all of a sudden he can be on top of you and murder you.
Right.
Leona's the same way. I've got all the champions in front of me. We could talk, ad infinitum about this.
Leona's definitely level 2. Level 2, watch out if you're laning against Leona, because when I'm playing Leona, that's what I'm waiting for. Trying to get to that level 2 real quick.
Sean, how many times have we, been playing games where I hit level 2 on one of those champions? Okay, tell me when you want somebody to die.
It isn't even that. You hit level 2 and just go in and you're like, we're killing them. I'm like, okay.
Somebody dies.
Catch up.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, follow on. We're going in, buddy.
And there I go, bright-eyed and happy to go to my death with you, Dom.
Bright-eyed and happy.
And if the jungler's smart, Xena's in at level 2 and the jungler's waiting in the bushes to dogpile. And Sean's like, I'm out of here. Sorry, buddy.
Yep, see ya.
See you later, Dom.
We get more kills than we give up in those situations.
I can't wait to play mid-turn. I'm so excited. I hope
I was going to actually ask
again
for you to play that first game tonight.
Can I play mid-turn?
I like mid-turn.
Yeah, do it.
Go for it.
I like it.
And
do we need to talk about that?
Eventually.
Yeah, Nocturne mid, the Great Destroyer.
Do we want to talk about Nocturne mid and
our Lord and Savior?
Or should we run it first and then talk about it?
We should run it a couple times in some ranked
run it
scenarios,
successfully
because I was definitely like 14-0-1 or 14-1 and whatever at one point in one of those games where I could like two-shot anybody. So Ari was afraid to fight me. With a few minutes left in this podcast, we want to answer a couple listener questions.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely.
Then we're going to move on to the listener mailbag. Guys, if you are out there and you have a question for us, please email feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. We will either get to you live on the show in a couple weeks, or we will get to you via email. There's been a number of email questions that you guys have wrote in. I'm going to come up with a way to differentiate between email and listener questions so you guys understand what we're looking for. That'll come in the future. So as it stands,
I guess I'll clarify what he's getting at. There are some questions that we get that seem either too specific for us to cover on air, or are topics that we've kind of covered a bunch of times, in the past, and so we don't really want to talk about them again so soon. In those cases, we tend to respond with emails to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I sent out a couple today. Is that one?
I sent out one. Now? Mine are always really long. I apologize to everybody.
Did you actually send yours to the person?
They're good though.
No, I sent it to you. You're supposed to send.
I'll send it tomorrow then. I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
with all respect to our listeners and everything, I don't want you guys to have my email address.
Yeah, it comes from feedback.
That's why I have a
Trinity
T-Force one.
Yeah, see, Claude's got. I'll give you a T-Force one if you want it, Dom.
Yeah, that would probably help.
Okay, listener questions. Guys, please write us in, feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. We will take all questions, and we will get to the right sources. Even if they're LCS questions, we'll get to the right source and be answered eventually. So Derek wrote in, and he says, my go-to mid is Katarina, as I've invested a huge amount of time learning her kit and tricks. Almost every time, and I want to say, good job, because we've talked to you about that in the past and said pick one champion and stick with it, and then move to the next champion. Almost every time I pick her, my teammates complain that she's a bad champion and that I should pick another champion. While I'm okay avoiding confrontation in champ select, Cat is the champ I have the most fun on, and I'm having less fun playing the game when I pick a different champion. And I feel like my motivation has been hamstrung. Yeah, talk to Claude.
I'm laughing here because I know we've said pick one champion and everything, and my gut response was to be like, tell your friends to fuck off and just play the game you want to have that's going to have the most fun for you. And then I realized, like, I don't know Derek personally here, but I know a guy who was this exact guy. He learned Katarina. He played Katarina from, like, level 5 until 30 and beyond. He was a Katarina main for the longest time, and I think he still plays her quite a bit. And it was just, like, it was kind of frustrating every time that we played a game and he picked Katarina. But for me, it wasn't because he was playing Katarina so much as it was that, like, it meant I didn't have a chance to play mid or something. And this was before I was a dedicated support player.
Right.
So I think that would be the important thing to talk to your friends about. Are they mad that you're playing Katarina, or are they mad that you are not giving them the opportunity to play
See, I don't
another
even think
lane?
this is friends. I think this is
I
solo
think it's
queue.
just teammates in solo queue.
Mutable
And
people.
he does
Mutable.
say that it is his go-to mid. So I think if he gets the mid role, he's planning on playing Katarina.
And if you have the most fun with her, play her.
Yeah, I have
it's
nothing.
solo
If you get
queue-
good with her, you can make her work.
If it's solo queue, play what it's gonna carry. Don't
the
give
hell
a
out of
fuck about your
Katarina.
teammates.
And
I'm sorry,
telling you,
but-
I'm telling you right now with Katarina too, she's one of the mids that if you get a couple kills early, you can just snowball the entire game out of control like crazy, and there's not that much the enemy team can do about it unless they just happen to have a couple hard CCs to shove you down.
By the way, T-Force crew, I can play Katarina too.
Oh,
Let's
God
go.
damn it. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
Derek, you're clearly a Katarina main, so I'm not going to try and expound the virtues of her or tell you, like, things to look out for. You know what to do. If you're in solo queue and you're picking Katarina, even if you know it's a shitty matchup or whatever, I mean, just tell your teammates, look, I know what's up. Don't worry about this. We will be fine. You just got to trust
And then
me.
mute them. Don't
And then
wait for
mute-
because they will never
Frank,
say,
Adam,
"Oh,
Adam,
never
how
listen
many-
to
all right, man, you changed
Adam,
my mind."
How many games did you and I play where somebody picked a champion you thought was weird given the current state of the meta, and you were about to start bitching and complaining? I was like, no, just trust the dude. He probably is picking, Kazakhs or whatever for a reason, and at the time, Kazakh wasn't.
Not
wasn't
everybody
picked.
has a dom in their corner to talk him down, though. So
I know.
No,
No,
But
I'm
no,
just-
that's
it's
what
my
started
point. that
that rolling to plat, though, because after that, I saw some really crazy picks when I was, making my other, and I just stopped caring. I said, let it go. And I will say, I'll give an arbitrary number to it. 85% of the time, it works, okay? I did play with a Vlad once who completely fed, and then I got him in the next game, and he showed up, and I said, I'm not playing with you again because I watched you play last game. It wasn't a bad game. You just played it poorly, and I didn't say that to him, but in my head, that's what I'm saying, so I all for it. But I gave the guy a chance the one time he played Vlad.
Yeah, I mean, and
It's-
that's something you got to do. Sometimes good players have a shitty game. And that's just the reality. And sometimes people think they're good with a champion and they don't know what they're doing. But I'm going to give our listener the benefit of the doubt here. And if your go-to is Katarina, just fucking run with it, dude.
Well, and here's the thing too, and again, this goes back to our Poppy conversation where I am terrified whenever somebody picks Poppy. I am scared every time somebody picks Poppy because if they have the confidence to pick Poppy and they're not trolling, they're probably really fucking good at Poppy. And that goes the same for probably Cassiopeia and a bunch of other kind of off-kilter champs that you don't see as often anymore. But if you're really good with a champ and you're confident that you can do well with it and you're not trolling or you're in a game with somebody who's picking kind of a off-kilter champ and they're not trolling, just let them do it. They're probably good at it.
Well, that's how Yuzuki got the high diamond.
Damn right he
wasn't it?
did.
It was Akali and
Akali, Vladimir, and Riven is the three champs he played all the way to Challenger.
Yeah, so just let it go, dude. I say in solo queue, take people's feelings into consideration, but if you can quell the rage, like if you can bring it back and make people so they they're not yelling at you, play it. But if you got people just going nuts, pick something else you might not be as comfortable with, but you can play.
Now that said, I would caution you, or I would advise you to expand your champion pool a little bit, because you never know when the meta is going to shift to such a point where Katarina becomes a banned champion.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're shit out of luck because the champion you would normally be playing isn't available, and now what the fuck are you going to do? Now he doesn't go into that in this question, but just word of caution there. Have a few backup plans available.
This is why you email us, though, because we're going to give you we're going to give you everything. This is how, and as you guys hear every week, this is how we talk about most champions, most questions. It's a breakdown.
It's broad.
That's right. Do you have this highlighted for a reason, or do you want to talk about it, Dom?
No, just
highlighting. Okay.
Twitching. Yeah.
I like the next question.
This will be the last question for the night before we finish the podcast. So Chaz writes in. So if you manage to gank somebody in a lane and an opportunity presents itself to either take a tower or take the dragon, when is it worth it to take which? Are some towers more valuable than others, and more importantly, why?
Oh, this is a really
okay.
good question.
I love this question, and this is actually funny because if you paid attention to the troll game that we had, I believe, was it Monday night or maybe it was Sunday?
The dragon?
Where we had like the 3-minute dragon?
Yeah.
Where dragon was absolutely
Yeah, that was a
worthless.
little early.
The
And then
100 gold dragon.
4 people went and ganked mid, and sure, we picked up a kill and we got 100 gold off dragon. And then their AD carry came up and got 4 kills. I would say right now, early towers are much more important than dragon up until a certain point. But when it comes to some towers being more valuable than others, I have to say the mid tower, at least in my opinion, is probably the most important towers out of the 3 outer turrets, and simply because it completely opens up the ability for you to walk through the enemy jungle.
I think bottom tower is actually a close second there.
Absolutely.
Because that frees up your duo lane to either move to top and start farming and working on that tower,
Right.
or to let's say you didn't get mid tower, well then they can rotate mid and start working on that.
Right.
Your bottom lane has a lot of flexibility to really just work on driving down towers, and top and mid have kind of other priorities on their mind. I agree with mid tower being the most important, though. It just opens up the map so much.
It makes it much easier to roam, easier to ward into their jungle.
Going back to power spikes here, it allows that person who has probably the biggest power spike in the game, which is going to be your mid, to roam. If you get that tower down early, if he's level 6 or 7, he's going to have a bigger power spike than most people at 6 or 7.
Think about the games you've had where where top and bottom turrets went down, but that mid one was still standing. And just think about how hamstrung you felt throughout the course of that game. When that thing is still standing at like 20, 25 minutes, like all of a sudden Dragon and even, I don't want to say Baron, but like you're not thinking about other objectives than getting that mid turret down, because it is just crippling you.
Yeah, Baron to it. I mean,
you don't want to give that. You don't want to just give that up. But if you can give up a dragon to finally get that mid turret down, then that's actually
how many LCS teams do that? Like they will contest dragon and say, okay, our mid is pushing into their mid. Fuck it, you can have the dragon. You can have that 200 gold. We want the map control. We want the.
My real attitude kind of ends up being that dragon's gonna respawn and towers aren't.
Good point. Well said.
True.
I always try to go for towers, but there are definitely times when you're just realistically not going to kill the thing, and so you're better off spending your time
getting the guaranteed gold,
getting the guaranteed money.
Yep.
Right. So in the case where you can either take the turret or the dragon, go with the turret.
If you can.
That's what the question says.
For the most part, yes.
Turret, if you have to make a choice between successfully taking either one, take the turret.
Especially early.
You get a victory out of it.
Wow, we got there.
Victory.
I can't believe I figured that question was going to go on. Like as soon as everyone was
really
excited, I was like, "Oh fuck!" All right.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Like, somehow we got to a conclusive answer that we all agree on.
When don't we all agree on something? Honestly,
not too often, actually.
I mean,
I feel like I'm usually the contrarian, but maybe that's
why we keep
devil's.
you around.
You're the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate.
I played the devil advocate,
but nobody likes me.
I hate you, Dom. You're the worst.
Somebody's got to
and
take
if you
that
all
role.
else hate Dom, don't forget to write in at feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com and let us all know.
Son of a bitch. They're gonna do that too.
Yeah.
So, guys, that was the episode. That was episode 137 of the Trinity Force podcast.
If you would like a new host to the Trinity Force podcast,
I think I do a damn good job. Thank you very much.
yeah, well, whatever gets you to sleep at night, big guy.
You know what? If you want to
He
pretend like
does.
you can host the podcast better than me, you can host next.
I'm not gonna
No,
pretend
never
I can. I'm gonna admit that I can't. But we would find somebody.
All right, guys, that was episode
We'll get a record to do
137.
it.
Don't forget to check out the LCS podcast on Sunday, live at 9 p.m. OzLOL comes out on Thursday, so yesterday. You guys got this podcast on Friday. Go listen to it tomorrow. Or yesterday.
What?
Go listen to it yesterday. You-
Go listen to it
Again,
tomorrow. I don't
Again,
care.
if you want a new host, email feedback at Trinity Force
Your host is drinking a
podcast.com.
dirty 30, so. That podcast money. Guys, we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Bye.
Have a nice night.
All right, we'll stop Audacity. If you guys are watching this live, we're going to go on about a 5-minute break, and we're going to come back and play some ranked fives. So you guys will see, you'll watch me play mid for like the first time in a ranked setting ever.
And this will
Some
be
of us-
great because it's going to be more exciting than you in the top lane.
Some of us drank a lot of beer in that last hour, and we need to use the facilities.
All right. Guys, we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
You heard me.
And you get to hear the candid speak now.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to move this over to... Is this the right scene? Game soon. Join channel T-Force. That's not the right thing. That's not the right one.
God damn it,
That's
Adam.
not the right one.
You're so useless.
I'm just going to leave this on the episode 137 because... Actually, I'm going to kill the stream and bring it back up.